It was supposed to be just another ordinary afternoon. The sun, golden and relentless, bathed the streets of Polanco, one of the most upscale neighborhoods in Mexico City. Sidewalks buzzed with life, professionals rushing between meetings, tourists snapping photos of trendy storefronts, and shoppers carrying bags adorned with luxury logos. Among the crowd, Mariana Saboom walked with quiet determination, her pace steady but unhurried. She adjusted the strap of her worn leather backpack, a gift from her mother when she graduated from college. It wasn't flashy, but it was reliable. Much like Mariana herself, she wasn't the type to frequent high-end shopping malls. In fact, she usually avoided them, preferring local markets and small boutiques where faces were familiar and prices didn't come with an air of exclusivity. But this time was different. Her best friend, Andrea, was about to celebrate her birthday, and Mariana wanted to surprise her with something special, something that spoke of their years of friendship, laughter, and shared dreams. A pendant, perhaps. Simple, elegant, and meaningful. As she approached the grand entrance of the shopping mall, towering glass doors gleamed under the sunlight, reflecting the pristine streets and polished facades of the surrounding buildings. The mall itself was an architectural statement, sleek, modern, and deliberately designed to project an image of exclusivity. For a brief moment, Mariana hesitated. It wasn't insecurity. She was confident in who she was. It was something deeper, an instinct honed by years of subtle experiences. The kind that taught her certain places weren't built with people like her in mind. But she brushed the thought aside. "I'm here to buy a gift," she reminded herself. Nothing more, nothing less. From the moment she stepped inside, the shift in atmosphere was palpable. The air was cool, almost sterile, infused with the faint scent of designer perfumes wafting from nearby boutiques. Marble floors gleamed under recessed lighting, reflecting the silhouettes of shoppers gliding through the space as if choreographed. Everyone seemed to belong, polished, poised, and perfectly in sync with the environment. Business suits tailored to perfection, handbags worth more than a month's rent, and watches that didn't just tell time but whispered status. Mariana, in her casual jeans, plain white blouse, and comfortable sneakers, stood out without meaning to. It wasn't the kind of attention one welcomed. It was quieter, more insidious, sideways glances, fleeting but sharp. Store clerks who glanced at her then quickly shifted their focus to someone else. Shoppers who instinctively held their bags a little closer as she passed. Maybe I'm imagining it, Mariana thought, pushing the discomfort aside. Just find the gift and leave. She moved purposefully through the mall, scanning storefronts adorned with meticulously styled mannequins and soft golden lights. Yet with every step, the sensation of being watched grew stronger. Not the curious gaze of strangers, but the calculating scrutiny of those trained to spot who belonged and who didn't. And in their eyes, she didn't. Mariana passed a boutique displaying silk scarves and designer handbags. A sales associate stood by the entrance chatting with a well-dressed couple. As Mariana slowed down to glance at the window display, the associate's smile faltered. She didn't say a word, but her body shifted slightly, blocking the entrance just enough to make a point. "Keep walking," the gesture seemed to say. "This isn't your place." Mariana sighed and moved on. She wasn't new to this feeling, but it didn't sting any less. Further down the hall, the glimmer of delicate jewelry caught her eye. A small, upscale boutique nestled between two larger stores. The display was tasteful, not overly extravagant. Perfect. In and out, she told herself. 5 minutes. She stepped inside, her eyes immediately drawn to a display of pendants. One in particular stood out, a silver chain with a small, teardrop-shaped charm, understated yet beautiful. Mariana leaned closer, her fingers brushing lightly against the glass as she admired the craftsmanship. And that's when it happened. The moment that would turn an ordinary shopping trip into something much bigger. "Can I help you?" The voice was crisp, professional, but there was an unmistakable edge to it. Mariana looked up to find a saleswoman standing across the counter. Her smile was thin, her posture stiff, like someone forced into politeness but itching to enforce an unspoken rule. "Yes," Mariana replied, keeping her voice even. "I'm looking for a pendant, a gift for a friend's birthday." The saleswoman hesitated just for a beat before nodding. "Of course," she said, but her eyes flickered over Mariana's clothes, her backpack, her worn sneakers. "Do you have something specific in mind? Some of these designs are quite exclusive." The message was clear, unspoken but deafening. "Are you sure you can afford this?" Mariana's stomach tightened, but she didn't flinch. She'd heard that tone before, in classrooms, at job interviews, even in casual social settings. But here's the thing about microaggressions. They're designed to be deniable. "It's just a question," someone might argue. "You're overreacting." Except it wasn't just a question. It never was. Before Mariana could respond, a shadow loomed beside her. A security guard. Tall, broad-shouldered, arms crossed over his chest. His uniform was immaculate, his expression impassive. "Miss," he said, voice firm but flat, "I'll have to ask you not to touch the displays without assistance from one of our staff." And just like that, the illusion shattered. Mariana blinked, momentarily stunned. She had barely grazed the glass, the same way countless shoppers did without reprimand. "I'm sorry," she said, forcing calm into her voice. "I didn't realize that was a rule." But the guard didn't move. He didn't nod and walk away, didn't accept the apology as enough. His eyes, cold and evaluating, swept over her once more, from her head to her shoes, lingering on the worn edges of her backpack. It wasn't about the glass. It was about her. In that instant, Mariana understood the truth. Her presence was the offense. The saleswoman, the glances, the subtle shifts in body language, it had all led to this moment. Her heart pounded in her chest, not from fear, but from the crushing weight of realization. This wasn't random. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was the outcome of an unspoken system designed to decide who belonged and who didn't. And in their eyes, she never had. But here's what they didn't know about Mariana. She had spent her entire life navigating spaces that tried to exclude her. She had grown up hearing her mother, Claudia Sheinbaum, speak about justice, about standing tall in the face of quiet prejudice. Her father, Carlos, always said the most dangerous injustices were the ones disguised as policies, as harmless protocols that only those affected could truly recognize. And now, standing there in the middle of an upscale jewelry store, under the scrutiny of a guard who had already decided she was suspicious, Mariana faced a choice. She could lower her gaze, apologize again, and quietly leave, becoming just another story whispered among friends, another sigh of, "That's just how things are." Or she could refuse. Speak up. Make sure this moment didn't vanish into silence like so many others. Mariana clenched her fists. She had entered the mall to buy a gift. Now she was leaving with something far more valuable, a reason to fight. And she would make sure the world heard about it. What happened next would ignite a firestorm no one saw coming. Because when a system is built on quietly pushing people like Mariana to the margins, the loudest threat is the one who refuses to be silent. And Mariana Sheinbaum was done staying quiet.